The following content has been censored to accommodate YouTube's bullshit copyright bots. For the full version, follow the link in the description.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Obscura, the show where we look at the best and worst horror has to offer. I'm your host, the Fear Fan, and thanks for tuning in. We've all felt it before, the desire to turn back the clock, to fix a mistake that we've made. Hell, take my last review for example. I feel I treated Jason X a little too harshly. I wasn't in the best headspace when I wrote it. I had to edit out a lot of unnecessarily mean shit I said in the outro, and I didn't give it credit enough for one little piece of world building I liked, that the costumes and character interactions indicated a much more sexually liberated future. It's not a big improvement, and most of my gripes about their fictional future stand, but at least it's something. And so, in that spirit, I've decided that this entire episode will be a remake of last episode, Jason X.
I don't think so.
Ugh, fine, we'll do the Platinum Dunes remake instead. That's right, Platinum Dunes, the house that remakes built, plowing their way through almost every major horror icon with results that ranged from disappointing to almost actively insulting their fans. By this point, they released their take on the Amityville Horror and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to somewhat mixed reactions from the faithful followers of both franchises, and the general consensus was that, while they were competently made, their high gloss failed to capture the spirit of the original. And so, when it became clear that the boys at Platinum Dunes were writing big fat checks to turn past their prime horror icons into soulless abominations, there was only one thing for Paramount and series creator Sean S. Cunningham to do. Kick down their door for that payday, because Hollywood's all about the money, baby. With that said, one can hardly blame them. If ever a series had run its course, it was Friday the 13th. Over the course of 30 years and 12 movies, Jason had, in order, been an urban legend, a lost little boy, a hockey-masked maniac, some asshole named Roy, been resurrected, been a zombie, been a New Yorker, gone to hell, gone to space, and had gone to the Monster Mash. And with all of those boxes ticked, where was the series to go except right back to square one? And of course, with their reputation of slick crowd pleasers to uphold, Platinum Dunes put some of their finest on the case. For example, the task of bringing Jason into the 21st century fell to screenwriters Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, known for writing the mega smash Freddy vs. Jason, which fans generally agreed was a great Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but only a mediocre Friday the 13th film. I'm beginning to sense a pattern here. Okay, so there was both good and bad in the film's lineage, but did it have the one key ingredient that a remake needs to be successful? A reason to exist. Looking at horror history, there's a whole slate of classic remakes that surpass the original, but disparate as they seem, there is one factor that links them all together. There was some purpose beyond pure profit that gave them a soul. In some cases, it's because effects when the original was made didn't do the concept justice, like with The Blob, or it could be social commentary on changing times, as with Cronenberg's The Fly or Carpenter's The Thing. The originals still hold up fairly well, so was this bringing something new to audiences, or was it just another shallow cash grab from the remake kings? There's only one way to know for sure, so let's tune in and find out. In keeping with the originality driving this project, we begin on a dark and stormy night, and I've got to say I'm already having some concerns. I mean, Jason X may have been slightly strapped for cash, but at least they didn't have to use an old typewriter for their opening credits. At any rate, onto the scene stumbles our current heroine, named, Damn, I hate cold opens like this. It's so hard to get invested in a character when you don't know their name or even what they're doing out in the woods. Oh God, she's a counselor! Run, girl, run! You have so much to live for! Whoever she is, she appears to have gotten lost in the final 20 minutes of the original Friday the 13th, as she finds herself confronted by a very murderous, yet disappointingly de-sweatered, Mrs. Voorhees. Still, despite the lack of Mom Couture, she Betsy Palmers out some exposition as hard as she can before Alice in Remake Land decides she doesn't make the cut. As she quickly fucks off to find a boat to swan around in until a jump scare arrives, our pint-sized murder machine-to-be shows up for one last piece of advice from dearly departed Mommy Dearest.
They must be punished, Jason, for what they did to you, for what they did to me. Kill for mother.
You know, it occurs to me that this entire series is based around Jason being an unusually well-behaved child. I mean, can you imagine if he treated this the same way other kids treat their chores?
They must be punished, Jason, for what they did to you, for what they did to me. Kill for mother.
Jesus, no wonder he's known for only killing one day a year. Anyway, with that, we officially end our remake of Friday the 13th. Nope, I'm not kidding. That's right, borrowing a page out of Evil Dead 2, they've condensed the remake portion of our remake into the first 3 minutes. Crap, keep going at this rate and they'll have Jason strapped to a rocket and headed to space by the halfway point. And speaking of the future, with Pamela in the past, it's time to explore Crystal Lake in the far-flung year of, well, present day. And by present day, I mean 2009, where we get a break from the Voorhees descendants, government spooks, and space marine field trips of the last few films, and get back to basics. And trust me, it's hard to get any more basic than these kids. Still, if we are going to bring the franchise into the 21st century, we will need a gaggle of stereotypical teens in order to serve as a sign of the times. So, what does 2009 have to offer us? Keyed up pothead hipster with glasses?
You'll see when a mountain lion comes out here. Mountain lion right there. Nice try.
Horny headband guy and inexplicably hot headband man girlfriend? Double check.
Then ask one more time for Daddy.
Oh, Daddy like that?
That one super popular and annoyingly perfect guy you knew in high school who always carried an acoustic guitar so he could bust out Wonderwall on request and thinks he's so much better than you because he probably is? I may be projecting my own issues here. Damn you, Jake Kohut! Why did you make me love you? And Survivor Girl. Now you may be asking yourselves, why would a group of 20-somethings be out in the New Jersey woods after the invention of YouTube, Vimeo, or other quality sources of fine review, podcast, or gaming content supportable through a low monthly donation via Patreon? Oh please, I've got to keep the lights on somehow. Fuck! So while I deal with that, it looks like Richie and Wade are dealing with a completely different kind of, power plant.
Tomorrow morning, you and me, we get up at dawn, we go, we find the crop, we cut down as much as we can, we ditch it in the truck.
That's right, Wade and Richie are out for a Harold and Kumarian quest for the Kush, hoping to make a fortune off of something strong, smokable, and legal in Colorado. Along for the ride is Whitney, who's currently wishing she'd stayed home with her critically ill mother, rather than getting dragged out to the woods by God's perfect idiot, Mike, for some unwanted downtime. And who can blame her? Traveling with Wade and Richie must be like watching Breaking Bad if both the main characters were Jesse. Still, while not all members of the party may be happy to be there, perhaps a spooky campfire story can bring them all together.
Is this all we brought to drink? No Heineken or anything?
Fuck that Euro shit. This is Pabst Blue American Ribbon, my friend.
Some woman, she went fucking nuts. Killed all these counselors. Blamed them for her son's drowning. He was like deformed or retarded or something.
Crap! We had the remake in the first 3 minutes of the movie, and now we're listening to a recap of the remake in the remake, which is now technically a remake of Friday the 13th Part 2. Wait, does that mean a scrawny, half-naked ginger is going to come leaping out of the bushes to scare everyone in a moment?
Hey, come back! Oh. How's that beer treating you, beer snob?
Better than my own piss.
You can drink that, by the way. Yours, hers, mine, your. I swear to God, piss is sterile.
For the record, you will never drink my piss.
That's what you think.
Okay, little niche, but I'm not going to kink shame. Still, that's gotta be the weirdest thing that these kids are into, right?
If we were all out here starving to death and you were dead, I'd eat your leg.
Why would you eat my leg, man? I can teach you how to fish. Just go fishing.
I don't eat fish.
Oh, for fuck's sake, do these guys share any traits in common with the rest of humanity?
I don't think so.
Sold! And, speaking of pussies, Mark whisks Whitney away before anyone can either take a bite out of her or hand her a tall, frothy glass of, quote, lemonade. Of course, I'm not entirely sure his plans for the evening are an improvement.
Come on. Have sex with your boyfriend in a cramped little tent. We can get hammered, blow some chunks in the woods.
And besides, by walking away now, they're missing Wade's titillating TED Talk about GPS.
You know what makes me happy, Richie? Global positioning systems. GPS to the layperson. This guy sends a signal up in outer space. Signal. Technology, man. It is unfucking believable.
Fascinating stuff. Of course, Richie finds himself eager to explore this new knowledge and asks Wade to kindly fuck off while he practices positioning his girlfriend's globes. Great, I've got enough trouble with copyright strikes as it is. I don't need more licensed music. So, when Wade stops to pour himself something to drink, he discovers, wonder of wonders, that he has in fact stumbled upon the Garden of Whedon.
What the fuck? What is this? No!
Which is completely off screen. Crap, I knew that they wanted to make Jason faster and stealthier in this one, but I didn't think that he'd actually be hiding from the audience. Of course, while Wade gets somethinged to death, we find that while killers can evolve over time, so can victims, as Mike and Whitney encounter a spooky, abandoned summer camp, and promptly decide to fuck off in another direction. Still, some instincts never die, as Mike instantly keys in on the spooky abandoned house right next to the spooky abandoned summer camp. And what revelations await the two as they Scooby their way through the abandoned house?
Mike, don't go in there. What if some homeless person lives here?
No homeless person lives here.
That's right, and you know why? Because what do you call a homeless person who lives in a house? Not fucking homeless. And the kernels of wisdom don't stop there.
Look at how old this shit is. It's like it was dragged here from another century.
Wow, brilliant assessment. It's 2009. Anything that's more than 10 years old was literally dragged here from another century. Still, while they wander about fascinated by the lost world of 70s and 80s junk, the audience does get a few revelations. First, an encounter with a MacGuffin locket with a picture of Pamela. Second, we discovered Jason's childhood bed, which means that this place is the retcon version of Chateau de Voorhees from Jason Goes to Hell. Thankfully, this place is a little more in keeping with what you'd expect a summer camp cook and single mom to be able to afford. You know, it's a little bit weird to think of Jason as an actual kid with a bedroom, but I'm sure that there are dark revelations aplenty to be had here. Wait a second, what's that? Computer! Enhance! Ah, it's confirmed. Series canon. Jason plays the ukulele. Tiptoe through the window. So while Mike and Whitney are deciding it's time to go, someone else is deciding it's time to come.
You like that?
Yeah. Wait for me. Wait for me. I think Wade's watching us.
Well, fuck it. Let the perv watch.
Yeah, he seems a little too eager to let his bestie watch. And what happens next doesn't help that assessment. Richie gives a half-hearted attempt to tell Wade to go back to his cup of piss and leave them the hell alone. Sadly, that's not quite good enough for his amorous Belle, and she sends him off into the bushes with this little bon mot.
I'm not gonna go out there with a boner.
We're not getting any until you do.
Minutes later, as she heard Wade and Richie moaning in the bushes, she realized that he had taken "you're not getting any until you do" in entirely the wrong way. Okay, so not really. Before we can truly see bros versus hoes put to the test, Richie makes a discovery that sheds new light, literal and metaphorical, on Jason's nature. Wait a second. Earlier we had that Pabst versus Heineken debate, and now we're getting a sustained shot of a single severed ear in a field. Why does this feel familiar?
He wore blue velvet.
My God. Jason must have possessed Frank Booth from Blue Velvet.
Baby wants to fuck. What the fuck? Don't you fucking look at me!
Apparently, this Jason is smarter and more dangerous because he not only knows how to make s'mores now, but he knows how to set an idiot trap. Back at the old Voorhees place, it looks like I may have been a little too quick to praise Jason for being a good son, as his current shrine for his mother is a literal hole in the wall. Displeased with their attempt at redecoration, he locks them in and proceeds to show them what happens when you track dirt on his nice clean floors. Shit, I've heard of the floor is lava before, but the floor is machetes is kind of a new one. Still, as far as kills go, I've got to hand it to this one for originality. As the world's worst game of Twister continues, Mike manages to put his left foot on red, right knee on red, and right hand on red before Jason finally decides he's out and Whitney sprints off. We also get our first look at this movie's version of Baghead Jason, who looks less like he did in Part 2 and more like a toss-up between The Town That Dreaded Sundown and The Film That Dreaded Originality. After our second Survivor Girl chase in 20 minutes, Whitney finds Richie hanging out where we left him, trying to decide whether to eat Wade's ear, his own partially severed leg, or Amanda, who has been absolutely smoked to perfection.
I'd eat your leg.
Fine, you fucking cannibal. Just be sure to wash it down with something that'll kill the taste.
Yours, hers, mine, yours.
No! Bad Wade! God, I'm glad you're all dead. Either way, Jason comes along to help him with his split decision, and then moves in to polish off Whitney with his most creative kill yet. My God, he dropped the opening credits on her. And on the audience, a mere 22 minutes in. And that brings me to one of the film's greatest strengths, and its biggest weakness. One of the stated goals by the screenwriters for this remake was to adapt and condense the first 4 Friday the 13th movies into one tight, fast-paced package that clarified the muddled mythology of the series without the need for body-swapping vag-burster demons. The first part of this movie is presented almost as an anthology. The relevant parts of the story are each revealed through an individual vignette reflecting that phase of Jason's evolution. It's unique, the first 2 segments were engaging, and it's a way of telling the story that we haven't seen literally 11 times before. Which, of course, means that the rest of the movie is going to be a completely traditional Friday flick. Anyway, with no time to lose, Amazon Prime drops off our new protagonists a mere 6 weeks later, and we are off and running. Alright, we've got a limited amount of time, so let's do our second character rundown of the movie. Late 2000s stereotype roll call, inappropriate Asian.
Babies have more space in the uterus.
Obvious Chad.
Hey, Lawrence, how about a little help?
Black guy that absolutely lives for making people check their privilege.
Dude, that's not a good look for you, man. You gonna ask the one black guy to pump the gas for you?
Handsome bisexual.
How about I pay you pump? Hey, I give a wicked blowjob too.
Not what he meant by, you pump, bro. And of course there's the girls. Personality pending? Gotta say though, with all this feathered and tousled hair on display, I feel like I'm in the middle of a Jared Padalecki look-alike contest.
I'm looking for my sister. She's gone missing about a month and a half ago.
Ooh, that guy wins.